actually I felt passionately about wanting to kind of tell my story and say, okay, this isn't straightforward by any means, but actually it can be done. And then I went on to be very successful in my legal career and, won several awards and have set precedent law in various cases. And I kind of really wanted to emphasize the fact that actually I had the worst A-levels in the world and I shouldn't have got through the process. And actually I did and really excelled in the process. And I sort of wanted to put that on a platform to really hopefully give others some inspiration to keep trying and kind of show that the system doesn't always work, actually, because I shouldn't really be here, by all accounts.
Yep.
So I set up basically a YouTube channel, telling my story because I wanted to reach people who perhaps weren't studying in big universities and didn't have the resources to access those things.
So was it an actual goal objective for you to set up that YouTube channel to say to people, guys, anybody can do this if you've got the desire, the drive, the purpose to want to do it? Is that what your goal was, to go out there to tell your story?
I think the goal was really to reach anybody who felt that they were at a disadvantage, anybody who really wanted to be a lawyer and felt like they were never going to be a lawyer because the process wasn't going to allow for it. So I really wanted to set up a channel to say, okay, this is how I did it. And also share some of my knowledge because I was fortunate enough to go to a very good, when I did my law conversion course at University of Law, then College of Law, which was a good university. And I wanted to make the law more accessible because, again, it was a very elitist. Only certain people were getting through with certain A-levels, with certain backgrounds. And I kind of felt passionate that, but actually, I don't think these are going to be the best lawyers. I actually want, personally, I want people to come through the process who've had different life experiences, who've had struggles. And actually, the process doesn't allow for that. So I really wanted to reach kind of a different generation really of people and say, look, I know you don't think you're cut out for law because the process doesn't allow for you, but here's how I did it. And, here are some tips to help you get through the process in the same way. So I interviewed loads of different people as well on YouTube who had different stories. I put out as much information as I could about things that I was learning during my journey and, broke down legal news stories and said, this is how you need to attack application forms and interviews, etc. So put out a load of kind of career support resources, really. And actually, it was very slow going at the beginning. When I first started looking at setting up a YouTube channel, there was nothing legal on YouTube other than kind of commercial legal type stuff. But really, law firms, lawyers, kind of just doing YouTube videos and just sitting there talking about things. Nothing like that. And I thought, okay, this is obviously a market that doesn't exist. Anyway, so I said, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it for a year. I'm going to do it for a year religiously because I know this is a market that I have to create from nowhere. So
what date was that from?
So that was September the 1st, 2017. I launched my YouTube channel and it was very slow going. I mean, it had a handful of views, which I'm sure were all family members of mine watching it, no one else.
10 times.
So I set it up and actually it was very slow going for about 4 or 5 months, and then a legal publication stumbled upon it and ran a feature on it basically, and virtually overnight I picked up hundreds and hundreds of subscribers, which was brilliant.
Wow.
And then it kind of spiraled from there, and then I branched out into other social media channels, into events, into coaching, etc. And I think now we're at just that sort of entity which has kind of been many facets of what I call law and broader, because that was what the channel was called. Because I also did little bits of like my life, and this is what life as a lawyer is like. So it wasn't all just advice. It wasn't all educational stuff. It was also, this is what my life looks like as a junior lawyer.
At this point, the viewers and listeners out there will want to know how to access you. You just said a brand name there. You've just said a thing. Can you explain that a little bit and then come back to the story? Because I'm holding my breath. Because it's important that they get that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So it started off as a YouTube channel called Law and Broader, which still exists. I'm now on LinkedIn as just my name, Chrissie Wolfe, and Instagram and Twitter at Chrissie Wolfe, and also TikTok now at the TikTok Lawyer. So those are the main places where you can find me. And we're at just over 90,000 in the family now across platforms. So so you can see that it spiraled from there, really. And that sort of turned into, its own entity, really. I never intended for that to ever be a business. It was just, I was a lawyer and I was working crazy hours and I was like, that's my job. This is just like a bit of something to give back, a little bit extra that I feel passionately about. Yeah. I never in a million years thought that would ever turn into a business, because social media wasn't really hadn't taken off, not for lawyers especially.
No.
It hadn't taken off then. It never crossed my mind. I'd love to say that it did and it was all part of some grand plan, but it honestly was. I thought, I'm going to do this at the weekend. It gives me some joy.
Sure.
If it helps a few people, great. Never ever expected it to be what it is now, which is obviously, a good income stream for me, doing, creating content for different businesses, doing brand deals, public speaking, workshops, it's podcasts, exactly. Never envisaged that in a million years. And that kind of grew and grew and grew whilst I was running it alongside my career.